Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 27 of The Treat Show. How's everybody doing tonight? I see that we've got some people in the chat that were waiting. Sorry for my delay. And I appreciate you guys so much. Keeping strong through the weeks. Keeping strong. So, I wanted to do a show tonight that I had in mind and decided to wait until next Sunday. And so I'm sorry, guys, but I have a couple more things I'd like to add before we talk about it. Also, I am working on a couple of new business things that I'm actually really excited about. You guys know New York? New York is going to be carrying treat over the next 6 months. It is going to take a minute just so that I make sure all the strains and the cure times and everything, finishing times and flour, everything is spot on. But I'm really excited for this drop. Same with some of our sponsors. Sorry, I can't breathe. I was like smoking blunts all Sunday, and now I'm like, where's my inhaler? I'm sorry. Let's see. Oh, and same with clone orders. Sorry. Is everybody that ordered clones this last round? I'm really sorry for the delay. You're going to see these clones came out really nice though. But yeah, I'm going to be sending those out tomorrow. Sorry, it got a little packed last week. I'm having to harvest at the same time. We all know how that goes. Smoke more blunts with you rosin dogs. Let's see. Oh, hello, Mr. Toad. So much respect to you. David, it's so good to see you. Yeah, so I think this is really exciting is I have a guest that's going to be joining us next time. And yeah, I think we're just going to be talking about nutrients and what all the essential nutrients do for your plant. The reason I wanted to wait until the next show is because I'm working on this stuff that I've been telling you guys about, but something that you can actually screenshot and keep in the back of your notebook. I don't know. I think that over the next 6 months, I'm going to be focusing a lot more on getting these sponsorships to like get you guys to actually try some of these new products. I'm curious to see how many people are switching from soil or just their, I guess, most comfortable medium. And like, I've just been talking to a lot of people over the phone calling in about switching to hydro for the first time. And I'm really excited to see that people are getting more open to hydro. I don't know. I also talked to one of the reps from Athena last week, and I worked with Athena in the past and really enjoyed working with them in Lux. And because Lux no longer is manufacturing lights, I think I was going to have one of the guys come on and talk about Athena, though. And it's weird because I have my own salt like line and nutrients that I like. But I've also ran Athena next to mine multiple times. And I've actually put a lot of clients on the past on Athena. And I don't know. I want to see what your guys' real thoughts are about it, though. I've been hearing a lot of like mixed emotions. It's like that salts really don't kind of like, I guess the cannabis itself doesn't pull the certain terpene profile that people see from soil. And then I want to see like, I mean, those are the things that I've heard the most of, but I want to see if there's any other like concerns. If people are like concerned about the health portion of it, is like, what does salt, like even the word, I think the word doesn't do this justice. I think it almost makes it worse. But before I launch this next show, I'd like to see you guys in the chat or slide into my DMs and let me know, like, yeah, what's the bad connotation that you guys are getting from this? Like, because I'd like to answer those questions more than anything. But yeah, so anyways, got all that stuff out of the way. Goodness, sorry. I'm feeling a little high already. I've been smoking this kitchen sink and I really like it. It's like, it's not one of my favorites as far as flavor. like that type of strain goes. But this batch I think came out pretty nice, and yeah, it's taking me there. Anyways, what are you guys smoking on? Anything? Anything exciting out there? Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, I think we got a lot of good things coming up actually. It's like I'm going to be working with some partners on getting us on a different platform actually for the show. I think it's going to be really a big deal, and I think you guys will be excited to see where it's going. But yeah, and I'm also going to start looking into getting a sound guy and somebody that can help me with the editing of some of the parts of the show moving forward. Is we're going to have some different types of, I don't know if Patreon is going to be the specific thing, but I'm leaning towards it. Is I'm going to have two growers. I think I already have the two picked out that I'm going to have us track like how we grow from start to finish, and like actually add a home grow instead of a commercial grow. We'll do the commercial grow stuff down the way, but I think that there's more home growers I'm seeing that have a lot of questions about lighting, or that are building out for the first time in New York or some of these other states that are coming online. Is mm, yeah, I want to make sure that the home grower is a super important part of my audience. And like honestly, I want you guys to know that those are the people I work with for the longest. And I think that if there's anything that we can specifically cover as far as like even down to like electrical excuse me, electrical and plumbing. And I don't know, some of these, I don't want to say basic, um, but kind of like introduction level of growing. And if you were to choose like rock wool, or if we do like peat moss, or I don't know, like I'm trying to lay out exactly the best way to get as much information as we can out of it. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. It's probably going to take a month, honestly, to get this all organized and get the perfect product list together. Is I want to see everybody's opinions too, regarding like what you do like run, and like what you prefer to run, and what good results and bad you've seen of products out there. Is like I've been seeing a lot of stuff. I won't say anything particular right now, but I've been seeing a lot of things that everybody uses in their garden as like pesticides and treatment options, and I'm just not a fan of them. And I think they work for people sometimes in like maybe that first or second like application, but everybody continues buying them, and I really feel like, I don't know. I want to touch on like some of the products, but I don't want to name bash or like say anything without having my bases covered. And maybe there's some lines that we all like agree are solid. I don't know. Primordial Solutions is one that comes to mind right off the bat. Is I feel like Sea Green. Has anybody used Sea Green? It's absolutely phenomenal. I love this product. And I feel like if you are running synthetics, it's like a nice addition to have in your garden. If you want to do like a little tea or a foliar application, phenomenal. We are working on getting them on the show. I have spoke to them. And yeah, I think we're going to work out a nice little deal moving forward. So I'm hoping to get you guys some samples if you haven't tried it. Let's see. Rosin Dogs, what's been going on over there? What's been going on that side of the woods? I feel like there's so many breeders I was thinking about the other day that have never gotten the opportunity to like have their own store. Like I was kind of thinking about like some of the things that are creating a weird market in Colorado and maybe in other states. Is there's not a lot of like home growers or breeders that can really achieve financially acquiring a license. Like when I was thinking about the list of just even Colorado, is Dark Horse is really rare, but Dark Horse is probably one of the only breeders I can even think of. Scott Reach at Rare Dankness, but I think that they've expanded into new things. Is like, yeah, it's got to be Dark Horse. Is there's not a lot of owners that are involved in the garden side, and it is because they come from like this real estate background or medical or these just other careers, I think, to financially be able to play and operate in this. But I was like, it's so sad that you don't see like breeders like Top Dog and like JJ to have his own store. You'd almost expect that. Like, and then same with like Duke. You know, you would think that, I don't know, some of these guys, I'm like, it's so sad that the market is saturated by people that don't actually commercially. I'm not saying everybody, but it's weird that it's dominated by not people that really really love the plant or really love breeding or have this attachment to the cultivation side. And I think it's sad because it's affecting the farmers so much. As I've been hearing on the East Coast, that electricity, that they increase the price of electricity so much that a lot of growers are backing out because the price is so low in certain spots, that it's just not worth it for them to run and have $1,000 a month utility bill at their house. And commercially, I see all these guys like in the same boat as they're getting bills that are like $14,000 to $25,000 a month to run these cycles. And when you're seeing the price drop, it's sad. I'm really excited that the market seems to be getting like more picky. Like it seems to be bringing back that kind of like connoisseur standard across the board. I think that's exciting, but I'd like to see more of these breeders really get an opportunity to get a license. Is I feel like Colorado almost had everybody like move here at first just to learn how to grow and learn these techniques to take back to their hometowns. And once they legalized, and now it's happening, and it's like so sad. I feel like Colorado just got like used up, used and abused. But I feel like these breeders that, yeah, their states are opening up, or I'm hoping honestly they come back to Colorado. I'm hoping we could bring back the market here together and really get some of the, yeah, the guys that I feel like are not getting the proper opportunity. Like it's weird, but these investors that I've worked with in the past is, I hear a lot of people think it's really easy to like gain this capital and to like still own a company when you're raising funding. Is like, it sounds really weird, but I could have somebody come to Treat and say that they're going to invest in Treat, and I have to do all the work and give them all the ideas, and we go through the whole process, and I run things, and they could say because they're putting up all the capital, which is around, let's just say $2 million realistically, to have a cultivation facility and a retail store, and that'd be like really cheap. That'd be on like the cheap kind of tight budget. So if they were to do something like that, most times they'll offer like 13 to 16% of my own ownership of Treat, and like that you have to kind of grow, like you would be buying back into your company. So you would have to pay for all the overhead and, you know, return all of this with interest typically, and then you would buy into your percentage over time, and eventually I would maybe get to 49%. Is like a pretty standard kind of protocol, I'd say, for these types of things. So if I think about that though, like I think most of these breeders like are not going to do arrangements like that, or most of these growers, like they're not going to put themselves in a position like that, especially if the market, like, you know, fluctuates highs and lows. And yeah, but I think that now we're having where all these guys that are detached from weed like really kind of dominate the industry. Is I was thinking about it, like 710 and Green Dot, they have such strong reputations in Colorado, and they're actually like MIP licenses is where they began. And a MIP license is for like hash extraction. And so it's funny, but they legally wouldn't be able to sell their flower. Like when they first began in this, they only sold hash, you know? And so it's weird, but probably 2015, 2016 is when they both started selling flower. And they're like the two companies that hold this like really strong reputation, but they're the only guys besides Dark Horse that actually own and operate from a grower standpoint and a breeder standpoint, where they actually, I don't know, they care. You know, it's just weird, but it reflects in the product. It reflects in how the brand surpasses like most of its competition. I think it's intriguing. Is I've been talking to people in New York that have really like emphasized to me the importance in branding, and that they're not like Colorado in these regards. And it's funny because Colorado definitely was like that. I think over time, everybody like kind of raced to the bottom, but with cutting costs with like packaging or staffing and all kinds of things, went big to go small. But I think like when I'm looking at this like value that the market has created and like the cannabis smokers have created compared to 15 years ago when it was a secret to be like smoking weed. Like if you smoked, you like didn't know if you were okay to be smoking out like outside or something in Colorado, or if you were growing, especially like it was scary to like show on your Excel bill that you had a higher balance or any of these things that you were using more power. And I think it's so funny now that everybody's like, it's the packaging, it's all these things. But I think about the time that we all really began doing this, and that anybody that spent the money on packaging was like going above and beyond, and like it was awesome and it was exceptional. But now I think it's become the standard of like it's got to present itself well, which I think is like it's great to have that. But then I also feel like this this direction that we're going to with weed, as far as like a consumer or like just getting high and like enjoying it, is like it's just so weird. It's like I pissed off somebody not too long ago by talking about THC and potency, and like I've had this like conversation so many times, like on the Adam Dunn show and things in the past, where people get so offended when I talk about potency. But it's so weird to me because when I first began in the industry is like, and they first began testing like period, is it was only for THC and it was called potency. and and it's just weird because these are like these weird habits that you can't break. It's like, it's not arguing that like terpenes and all these other cannabinoids go into this potency and this overall total. But I think it's interesting because I'm like, that's not like why I grow weed. Is like I grow weed like so that people smoke it and it like tastes good, like that it brings back memories when you get a strain like Golden Goat or Durban Poison or OG Kush or Sour Diesel. Is like I'm not like trying to like educate my consumers, or like I just kind of think as a market, like it's just a weird direction to me that we're going into, where I think there's a time and a place for sure that like you want to look into these things and you want to educate yourself on like the strains and what these numbers and variables, like you're really dialing in your smoking habits or something like that. But or medicinally, of course, if you're using it in those regards. But I think that like to me is it's losing its value in like just like good old getting high, and like this tastes really good and this doesn't taste good, and like this indica and sativa, I know we've like kind of moved into like a hybrid, like knowing everything's across, but it's like I don't know, I think it's like cooler than that. Is I'm just like, doesn't it like bring you back to the times that we'd actually smoke and you'd be like laughing so hard with a group of your friends, like just cracking up, like smoking like Blue Dream or something. And I think that now it's like everybody's gotten so like heady, so wook, with making cannabis almost like an aggressive thing. Like there's certain times where I feel like instead of the vibe being like closer, like bringing each other together, it's like we've made it such a hostile thing. Like, like this test the highest, or excuse me, is, or this has a better return, or I can't believe you run this strain. And I don't know. It's like that mentality though. Is like weed was such a personal. It's always been such a personal thing to me. Like it's like the one thing that you can always relate to. Like I think that you could be the biggest loner in the world. And that's what's so cool about weed is like you can chill, smoke a joint by yourself, and just, life becomes like so captivating, or a sunset becomes so beautiful or emphasized or something like that, where I was just like, man, sometimes I feel like we're losing touch with weed. Like just the core awesomeness of chilling on the beach and getting high. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. Let me see. I got to scroll down. I'm sorry, guys. I have to move the mouse really fast. You guys tell me some of your favorite strains. I have been trying to get my library a little bit more old school. not like, I don't know, not like SFE and I-95 and like things like that. Like I have those, the chems and the sour diesel seems very popular right now. Again, for sure. But I think because it's so popular, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't grow those. But like, what's older? Like, what's older that was good? Or like, I don't know. Is it even possible to? It's probably all the same shit. Let's see. Why it's so good to see you in the chat. Jim Moore, thank you. Oh, Obama runs over there. I really want to try that one. You mentioned it. Let's see. I'm sorry, guys. I was so misplaced in the chat. I apologize. You guys are making my decade. Sometimes the comments are just, even if there's like such a little amount of people watching, it's funny, but like we will have loaded shows sometimes. Like there'll be some that are over 100 for, I don't know. It's just awesome. Guerrero Grows, it's good to see you out there. Shout out to you guys. You guys need to check out his show if you haven't already. Oh, Gerhardt. Oh, better quality, better price. See, that's like the whole mission, I feel like, is the farmers. The reason I went on this rant is about these owners and breeders and blah, blah, blah. Is like, it's really unfortunate, but if the pound prices drop retail, or not retail, I'm sorry, wholesale, is like the dispensary owners, like, most times don't even own a grow and they just purchase wholesale and they'll get the margins down to like $200 a pound and they don't look at the weed. They don't give a shit about like what you're bringing them. Is they're just like, oh, people want Tropicana cookies. I know this is old, but sorry, it's the first thing that came to mind. But they were like, I don't know, they'll race on who has the cheapest Tropicana cookies. It's like, they're not like inspecting the weed, going to smoke it. And I don't know. It's like frustrating though, because I'm like, you get the opportunity to ruin the name or like Colorado. What I'm trying to say is like Colorado, instead of having a strong reputation like it did in the past, people forget, but Colorado used to crush and have fire all the time, everywhere. And granted, this was a while ago now, but I feel like it would just be nice to see these guys actually paying their farmers. Like at the end of the day, it's like we were talking about how we would run our commercial grows. Like a group of friends of mine is like how we would run it, even as like the owners that have these grows now, if they could actually choose to do something to their preference, like where they could pull it whenever they needed to, and they didn't have to pull like full rooms. They could do, a couple plants at a time. But the way that our metric is and the way that the state has us regulated, which is like a lot of states at this point, is it makes it super difficult though to like do pheno hunting, as far as like everything has to get tested as a batch. And so if you have 30 strains in a room, like say you have the space to be able to do that, but you can't afford to pay like $300 to $500 per strain, to have this essentially tested. It gets super expensive. And then when you're paying trimmers and you're paying, I mean, you guys know, even if you like start doing this shit all by yourself, it's like, then I feel like it still costs you. So it costs you a lot, it costs you time with like your family. It costs you time with all kinds of important things in life because, people that love growing, and it is a priority. And your girls, they're needy. But I just think at the end of the day, the better quality, you're absolutely right. And I think kind of like right now is the guys that like did just hustle and like get the huge square footage, and like we're producing say like 500 to 1,000 pounds a month, indoor or outdoor, is like those guys are the first that I'm seeing leaving. So it's a tender time here, but I think it's like honestly a blessing in disguise. Is instead of the small mom and pop businesses going out, it's not that. It's our big chains that are actually not doing so good right now. So good job out there to the customers. Bringing back the quality. But I think that we got to be able to like, I would give, if anybody was ever interested in owning any business within the cannabis world, is like, you got to be vertically integrated. Like, especially if you want to be able to control your brand and like your image and all those things, obviously. But I mean, overall, just your overhead is, I feel like when you guys are doing these deals in other states, you got to be careful on making sure that making sure that you're taken care of truly. Um, the Bruce Banner number 3. Oh my gosh, I love the 3. It's like the 3 and the 5 definitely are beautiful plants, but I think that the 3, it's got that flavor that, and the way that the plant like actually grows. It's just like crazy. I think, let's see. I gotta sneak. I gotta sneak some 5-foot mamas out to my spot. That's hilarious. I feel like I've definitely been in positions like that where like you're taking out trash bags that you got 2 trash bags, you got a sloppy walk, you're shoving shit, like it's spilling everywhere. It's amazing how resilient they can really be. They're like, you take care of me and get me out of here. We're good. But good luck. Good luck. I know it's annoying. Let's see. Todd has the NL original haze and skunk. That's nice. I would love that whole lineup. I feel like I've grown Northern Lights number 5 twice, and like I feel like for the people that I've worked with, they've grown it a lot. But the 2 times that I've ever been like around the real deal is like I feel was at Harmony, and they did a nice job. But again, that was like for hash, so I don't know. You got to see that distinctive like smell and growth pattern and all that stuff, but it was still like different. If you can't like smoke the weed for, I don't know. And then the other time, sorry, was Pink House, I believe. And Pink House had like, I don't know, they had it really dialed in. I think now though, like anytime I've seen the Northern Lights, you guys let me know, is I don't think it runs as long as it used to. Like, I think it finishes a little bit faster than I've seen it in the past. Oh, contractor bags and bamboo stakes. You're taking it up a notch. I feel like I wish I was like classy enough to do the freaking bamboo stakes. So does my plants. Oh, it's so sad. Is no crop insurance for weed farmers. Oh my gosh. So let me tell you a quick story about that. Is one of the companies I worked with, headquarters, you guys have heard me like blah, blah, blah. But this was like an intense business, not even business, like friend business, everything that we all went through as this small town in Colorado is, so Lyons, Colorado has such strict cannabis stuff. Like, and the town is like so against it, but it is the best town for like smoking weed and growing weed. As far as like, they do a bluegrass festival there that's huge every year. It's like where I really grew up in Colorado, and it's like such a tight, small community, and everybody grows weed. Like Scott Reach is from over there. Yeah, there's just it's a good area, and it's weird though because the town absolutely hates weed. So they were only allowed 3 licenses, and headquarters got a license. They had made headquarters move their license like multiple times, like multiple times. So they would put like $600,000 minimum into these remodels and like getting the store on lock and making everything so nice and yeah, go through all the licensing, all this stuff, all the inspections. And then the town would come and say that there was like a church or something that they couldn't be close to anymore. So they eventually get this like weird zoning thing where they get to get out of the town, and they buy this building cash. And this is like exciting for our company. Like we like moved, you know, this was like our goal. And he like begged this woman privately to sell him this property, and it was just awesome. So they go through all of this, like financially, it's like a pretty big like investment, and like the company's doing it. And so anyways, in 2013, the flood happened, and it was right after we purchased this building. And we had our real, like, main retail store, and it was the only retail store at the time, and it was in Lyons. And so this flood happened and ruined the town. Like, ruined the town of Lyons, where nobody was allowed to go there for, I believe it was 5 or 6 months, unless you lived there. And, like, you couldn't live there. You had to, like, go there to pick up things or whatever. So basically our store couldn't operate, and we were moving into this other building, and it got completely condemned. It was next to the river, and it got completely condemned. Like the building was gone. It was a complete lost cause. And it just got finished with like its final paint job and like all the final details. It was beautiful, but didn't even get to have one customer before It got ruined in the flood. And then, 4 months of like no customers after that it was such a hurdle. But they yeah, everybody got through it. But it was just it's some of those things that they had no insurance, they had no options to like get reimbursed for any of this investment. And I don't know. And all the times before, like it's crazy to look at some of these companies, like financial obstacles that they faced, that I don't think a lot of people would ever see, because like half the time they're like not that fancy of stores or something, but they spend a lot of money on the backside. I don't know. Sorry about that all. What's Dark Horse's second best strain? I would say the Juliet is yeah, the Juliet. If you guys haven't tried it, I can't remember the crosses off the top of my head, but I'm super into that one. Is I want to beg them to let me run it. Yeah, I think it would be awesome. Let's see. The only way forward is back. We are heading for a bottleneck. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Transporting plants in the open is one of the best parts of legalization. It's so true. It's like I'm curious on some of these states if anybody's talking about like your library is. It seems like New York is like really supportive of cannabis so far, and it seems like it's really investing into it itself. Like they're pro cannabis is the vibe I get. You guys let me know if I'm wrong, but I think that people should be talking about like how can we have plant counts at our house that don't count against our plant count? Is like how can you have moms? How can you have pheno hunts? How can you run and operate these things without an extended plant count? Like if I can't flower those plants, like should they really be counting against you? And like height restrictions of plants, just like the 5 foot thing, like you're saying, is in Colorado, even commercially, is we can't have it's 8 to 12 inches, I believe, or 2 inches in width, either one of those or either one of those, that you have to have it tagged after that. And so I feel like, I don't know, it just should be where you can be able to have a big ass mom plant and it just be a mom plant that doesn't, count against you. What do you guys think? That dude did some long stints for a narc. Oh gosh, I wish I could go back. I feel like, yeah, it's not good to be a narc. I've been watching all these crime shows. It's like some of my favorite pastimes. And I think that it is crazy how many people like rat on each other or do all this like shenanigans just to one another. Like, it's just wild to me. Or dating like people and they just like get all mad and it gets wild. It's just crazy. I feel like rule of thumb is like everybody should be pretty like nice moving forward. I think that should be the rule, is everybody has to be like super sweet to one another when it comes to plants and things. I also think that if we could work as a community and like not being dirty hustlers and like helping each other go back to where everybody grows exclusive strains. Like we're going to use Bruce Banner and Juliet. It's like if Dark Horse was a dispensary that you could only get those strains at. Like you couldn't go to these other dispensaries and get those strains. And like, so you go to Dark Horse for those strains. But then you would go to, let's think, rare dangness. Oh my gosh. This is what happens when I smoke. Sorry. If you go over there and you get moonshine or ghost strain, is I feel like Scott should be, or their spot should be the only one that have those strains. And it sounds weird, but I think that way we create a really solid like community and like sustainability. At least here. I don't know. The other states, like they seem to be limiting licensing. They seem to be doing things a lot differently. Colorado has been limited for a long time now, but they still have like 500 licenses out there. I don't know if the places are actually operating, but it certainly feels like it when you drive down Colfax. 2 pounds total for personal use. 2 pounds. Yeah. How would we gauge like 2 pounds in like a time frame? Because I feel like if I smoke backwoods every day, then I could smoke like 2 pounds. No, that's probably not true. I could smoke a pound. I could smoke a pound in a month. Um, and that would be 30 days. But then how many people like smoke that much? Or like, could you smoke like a couple ounces? I don't know. Could you get it to like 2 days, 48 hours? Like, what would be the time frame of where you could charge back up? I heard Arizona a long time ago. They're probably not like anything like this now. Is I heard that they were limiting like how much you could purchase a day, kind of like Colorado. Like we have an ounce limit, or medical is 2 ounces a day. But I think it was like a little bit more for some reason. I feel like you could have purchased like a quarter pound, but you had to wait longer. It was like 6 weeks or something. It was like weird. It's like, how do they calculate these things? I don't know. Well, breeder specific strains would make a lot of sense. Yeah, like I know that I know that this sounds really stupid, but I think that the people that should be running these stores and like really be pushing their product is the people that grow it and breed it. And like those should be the people behind the stores. Like even if they have investors and even if they work out all that stuff, is it shouldn't be like no option though. Like it shouldn't be that you're seeing like guys that just love it, like having to come up with millions of dollars, and like no tax write-offs and no da 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 da. Like it's just I think it would be awesome if it was just like you come to Colorado and you see all the breeders that live in Colorado and you could go to their store, even if it was small, even if it was like really tiny, but you could go there and actually see like their cuts, their seeds, like their flour, pick up what you needed to. Like, and if they wanted to get like gummies made or like whatever, it's like where they more collaborate with the companies than like these companies just running shit. Is like there's so many companies now that I see like where they'll come, and it's not just with cannabis, it's like with all kinds of things where they'll come and be like, oh, I have all this branding done, like look how pretty my logo is, and then you'll ask them about the product and they're like, yeah, we're gonna do that like after this, like, and it's like, no dude, that's why you brand. Like it's like so backwards to me. It's like the only reason that I want to treat is I was like, my weed is better than these other people's weed. And like, and it wasn't trying to be mean or anything. It was like, I want people to know like that this is a treat. And it puts pressure on you both ways. Is you don't want to disappoint people with like the weed itself. Like I could think something's fire, but then somebody come over and be like, oh, shit sucks. I mean, I think that you're always going to have haters, and deep down they really like you. But I think that I I don't know. I just want to see more breeders run these stores, run these spots, and then be exclusive like that with cuts and stuff like that, so that we could bring back like true like value, across the board. You would really like even Capulator and some of these other guys, like, and to the guys in New York and all these places. It's like it would just be way better, I think, for the customers and for just for everybody. Just for everybody. And I guarantee the product itself would be like better for you to consume, like health wise. It's weird, but I think that obviously people that are actually smoking their weed like care what's in it, and like I don't know, care how it tastes, cares how it, all the things. I've worked for so many owners in the past that don't smoke, and they're like proud of that. And I get to a point like where I'm like getting older and stuff where I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't be like chiefing backwoods. Yeah, I understand that. But it's like I can't ever see myself not smoking weed. Like you get more responsible, you get like different. But I feel like I don't know, it's just part of me, you know? I feel like I would be lost and empty without it. And so when I see these owners that are like, yeah, I make $12 million off of this business a year and I don't smoke joints, but I'm a good businessman. It's like, well, yeah, you're crushing everybody. But it's like, I bet if you gave any one of those guys an opportunity to have the same tools, like same capital to get these nice facilities and like actually be paid properly again, like you would see the market change and you would see the quality like turn up. But I feel like, I don't know, the price to a lot of these guys is scary now. Is they're like intimidated, like to even try to grow a pound that should be valued high, at least here, because they're afraid of like getting talked down to by the next guy of whatever. I don't know. I think we got to like make sure the growers are always taken care of. You know, the home growers and the commercial growers. And I don't know, anybody that's actually like growing their own plants and putting this time in. We all got to be able to pay our bills at the end of the day, you know? And better than that. Um let's see. Uh breeder specific. Sorry, that was that same one. It's called the black market. We can do anything we want. I know. It is the best. Even when people say traditional, like that's how I feel. Is like people that get pissed at me for talking about potency a certain way is I feel like those are the people saying the words traditional in like an asshole kind of way. Is like I'm like, dude, listen. Like I understand. I understand and I think it's great that we're doing this and we're changing the world one step at a time. But I feel like you can't be like an asshole when people are like have been doing this for a long time and can't like let go of some of these like grassroots of just, you know, like I don't know, it's not that you're not like or you're incompetent. It's just I feel like it starts to not feel like weed in like a weed community anymore. Do you guys ever feel like that? Mm, I've been seeing people like when I go into the store, it's funny to me is I'll have these like bud tenders like insult the shit out of me. And I'll be coming there to buy weed. It's not everywhere, but like I'll be going there to buy weed and know what I want or something. And they'll be like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. That's not like the best stuff. Or like, look at this cross. Or did you see this? And I don't know. It's just weird to me. I'm like, this person's going off on me. I feel like when I'm trying to just pick this up and just trying to appreciate whatever I like about this. And this guy's trying to tell me whatever. I don't know. It's like it's just getting a little aggressive out there. You know? I feel like the guys that watch the treat show and ladies. Sorry. When I say guys, I mean absolutely everybody. But I feel like you guys are like the real growers. Like the real people that I've had a lot of people already say that they can't follow. I mean, granted, I don't communicate the clearest all the time, but I've had a lot of people say that they can't follow certain parts of the show as far as they're excited about the information, but they do have more questions. And the thing is this has just been a warm-up these last couple of months of trying to get, you know, my flow down, I guess. But I really want to start diving into stuff and bringing the community to like a different perspective together. Is like I feel like it's something that needs to happen. Is like I know everybody says that we're all supporting one another and we all want to see the best for each other, but I'm trying to think of ways like how can we help each other? And like if we dial in this as a community and like how we sell things and how we grow things and all these different, you know, stuff is I feel like we're really going to be progressive as a community. And if we do stay involved with this legislation and voting and some of these things is I don't know. I think it can make a real difference. Or we just stay on the DL like you guys said and keep it simple. But yeah. I feel like I want to touch on everything though. Sometimes I get questions like about the home grow as far as like here on like the laws and like counties that are better to grow in and some stuff like that is like I really want to start diving into that in these other states. Is like if you guys have questions, I'm not saying I'll know the answers to everything, but I'll definitely find out. Yeah, you just let me know. I think this show, where's the treat show Discord? Oh my gosh, I know. This is why I need a person. Okay, I tried doing all these things by myself and with a little help on the side, don't get me wrong, but the person that is helping me, they've got a business too, and I need to expand out. So if you guys know anybody in the community that is good with this type of stuff, is I need to expand. So I will work on the Discord. I really will. The Patreon I'm working on as well is like, I just think these things are going to be worth it. You're right. And I want to be able to chill more often. some of the weeks that we're just hanging out together is I want these extended parts of like whatever topics to be able to be optional. Like if you're down to go smoke another blunt, we could smoke another blunt. And then if you don't want to, yes. But I was like, I watched Dark Horse's show last week and they were talking about nutrients. I think it was last week, or the week before. No, it was last week. Is they were talking about nutrients and like nutrient deficiency I think. And they were playing a game. It was so cool. Jason's really good at like making the games. Like I wish that Treat Show I could take up a notch with some freaking games. Maybe I'll work on it. But I felt like that was such a good topic though, where I was thinking that if we talk about nutrients though as a whole, I'm like I was saying like what they really do is like sometimes I think it would be good to like visually see a diagram. And I know that you can like look these things up, but like more related to cannabis specifically is I think if you could actually see like what weeks monopotassium phosphate is really helping your plant and what's really going on and like what calcium nitrate, like why would you use this versus any other nitrogen product in my opinion, or why like some of these other things like a base, like it's such a vague term. I mean, we all get the like concept of it for sure, but I feel like I really want to expand on like what numbers you should be looking for in these products, like what each component or compound is actually like doing for your plant. So that way you have more knowledge and being able to like customize your own mixtures even further. Is I'm sure you already customize them or I'm sure it's already working for you, but I think I don't know, is I think like knowing what areas are forgivable and what areas aren't, and like stuff like monopotassium phosphate again is like maybe you could use that, or maybe that's already in your product and you could cut out silica instead, or maybe I don't know, like I really feel like coming up with just a simple like breakdown that's just like weed language, I think is what I am going to have for you guys for next week. And I want to know if like it would be beneficial to see like at day 21 in flower, like on a chart, like what does that actually mean when you prune a plant, like hormonally, what's going on? Like I think these are things that you start to wonder the more you work in a garden. And like for the people that are just like beginning working in the garden, is I think the best lessons is like staring at your plants. Like like really really staring at your plants and getting to know them in like all circumstances. It's like I love when people call me into a sick garden and I can like teach people what a sick plant looks like. And I know everybody is like, yes, I know this plant is sick, but when you can start really identifying like what beyond just deficiencies, but like what two things targeting your plant at the same time do, and like what's the difference between this type of brown on a plant and another shade of brown and stuff like that, like I guess more refined or more specific as far as discolorations and things that we can see in plants. But I don't know, you guys tell me. I'm sorry I keep saying I don't know. I actually feel pretty like good in this area, but just get a little nervous sometimes even by myself. It's because you guys are all here. Oh, they will always head to the bottom. Yeah, unlimited growth and ever increasing profits aren't the weed way. Yeah, it's weird. Is I feel like if you can live a good life for anybody's like careers, I think this is like ultimately what we all want. Is like we're not in need for anything. The necessities are covered, and you're at ease with that. Is it? I feel like that's comfortable for most growers and breeders, like compared to most shop owners on the other side, or corporations. Like it's nice to have nice things for sure, but it does change you when like materialistic shit is all that matters. Like I always thought it would be embarrassing to be like some of these companies I've worked for in the past that will pay everybody like minimum wage or something like that, and then they'll pull up in like a brand new like Corvette or Range Rover or whatever. And that's why I was like, I always wanted to, from a young age, I was like, I'm going to get a flipping nicer car than them one day, just because they're such assholes. I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but I feel like it was always weird. Like they were so braggy and like bodacious in these ways, but then they I don't know, they weren't truly like concerned about their staff or like their employees. Like sometimes I even think as a business, like if I got large enough as a company would be the goal. I guess if you were really trying to make changes and differences, is like to have your accountant like actually teach people from a young age, like not a young age, sorry. Like if you hired somebody, say that was 21, is like gave them access to, yeah, an accountant and people that teach you like how I don't know how that all operates and like your value and like pay incentives and like how you got to take care of I don't know each other both ways. It's sad to me that like I feel like when I hear my parents talk about companies that their parents grew up in, is they were these long-term jobs that would be like 35 years, 40 years, and then these people retire and get like their pension and all that stuff. And it's like, and now you never hear of that. Is like, I don't know. But then it's like weird that cannabis, they're trying to like, not trying for the last like 10 years or longer, has been this like becoming more and more corporate. And so it's just so monitored and from every angle and so restricted, like banking, like all these things that I'm just like, you should be like with your taxes, like come on, you can't write off your staff but you got to pay a 30% tax. Like, are you kidding me? I don't know. I think things like that are just setting you up for failure, you know? It's just going to make the other market thrive, which I'm just saying as a state, it's probably not the smartest move. I think that taxes, that's where I do want to see this come down in Colorado over the next couple of years. Is I was thinking about it. If you're spending like, if the tax really is 30%, which it is like you're going in and you're like buying like an eighth of weed and you're paying almost like the same in tax as you are for whatever product you're buying. Like the average person isn't buying an ounce at a time. And I don't know, it's interesting to me that I'm just like, this is way too high. Way too high. Um, Hourly employees shouldn't be in the grow room. Vested partners only. Exactly. Because you know what? That's where all this shit gets fucked up. Is I'm so glad that you said that. Is I see where you hire I won't go into crazy details, but one time they hired a younger person that had just gotten out of school and he had his degree in like everything in biology and it was awesome, but he had zero experience with cannabis and he just wanted experience and that was fine. But I was overseeing two facilities and he was hired to run this other one. And they let go of the other grower I was working with and he was making a little bit more, say, and he had been there longer and he was like easier. It would have been much better for us to have worked together. Like he was a little bit older. He like really cared. Like he really cared about the whole situation. And this kid comes in and it's like half the pay for the company, you know, and then I'm overseeing both facilities and doing a lot of the treatments and doing a lot of these things. So they're not worried. They're like, okay, we're covering ourselves for a third of the cost. And so I don't know, is I see this whole system and then they ended up having a situation with that person where they got in trouble with the state and this person like had no explanation, like threw everybody that he could under the bus and like just I don't know, it was just such a terrible way of like handling things. And I was like, you can't have somebody that's like detached from this. Like even if they have done their homework, you know, it's like it's we've talked about it before, but it's like such a thing that if you go spray or I mean if you get aphids in a grow and your friend has a grow and he's like, come over and smoke and I want to show you my plants, you're like, if you're like a real grower, you're like, dude, I can't go in your room right now. I'm sorry. I just like, I have aphids and I can't fuck up your room. And that's like somebody that really grows, you know, like you're like, I don't care that this dude knows that I have aphids or whatever. Like, I'm not going to like risk contaminating these plants. And like, even in your own like grows is like grow rooms is like, it's really hard if you ever have like an infestation of like spider mites or whatever it is. And you like have to hop rooms. It makes it so difficult. I don't know. Is now I'm just high, guys. Sorry. But yeah, I think I think that you become more and more conscious of your space the more time and like the more effort you put into a space. You get really like upset or pissed off when something like threatens it or hurts it, or it's almost weird, but when you have like all the accountability put on you for a crop, is like even to like, you know, your own goal of say like I'm gonna pay for my mortgage this way or pay like whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, is like whenever that gets affected and like in any way, especially like things like lighting, AC, bugs, like all this stuff late into a flower room, is it's devastating. It's just absolutely devastating. And I think that for the owners, they they don't understand like when you go to them and you say like I don't know why the plants are doing this. Is like I've seen like staff, or I've worked with staffs in the past that can't go to their owners and like, or they have communicated all these things and the owners just like think that they're doing a shit job, but really they have this systemic disease or they have these insects that you can't see without a microscope, or I don't know, there's so many variables, or like water, like, you know, is contaminated by their in their building. So many things go into all this, and I don't know. I think that, yeah, if your partner is actually vested into something, I think it's good for everybody. Is you want to make more together. You want to, it gives you opportunities to even like run better systems, I think. Is like if you partner with somebody that actually doesn't screw you over, is it can be really helpful to get like, you know, packaging and materials, obviously. Texas makes you partners with the government. They haven't even apologized for chasing me 40 years and locking me up. See, that's outrageous. It's like, I just get so upset when I think that there is people that are still legal, like have legal troubles because of cannabis, and that they haven't removed that shit, and that it's not even, it's just something like, it's just so weird to me now when I hear like everybody's sensitivity to certain words and terms nowadays, but when I think of like how sensitive I am to like cannabis, like when people call it like a drug or something, and they're just like they classify it in a group, and they're like you got to take a drug test, and like and it includes cannabis. I'm like, what? Like, why do you like? It's so weird to me. I'm like, how are you allowed to say this? Like, we're going, yeah, all those people should have all those things removed, and they should be apologized to at the very, very least, obviously. Once you start doing Rusty Nails, this is such a good one, sorry. Once you start doing job interviews, you are not really craft. Yes, sorry, my throat is on one today. My allergies. Oh, but you're absolutely right. Is I feel like that's the only way to grow to really fire, is like when people start like detaching from the garden. We all want to, like, don't get me wrong, I would love to be able to train somebody in theory and be like, I'm not coming in here for 5 days and this is gonna be awesome. But it's like you can't really do it. It's like you just really can't. You can't stop thinking about them. You're like, is the water on still? Is the thermostat kicking on? Did my overflow valve shut off? Like, you start thinking about the most ridiculous things that you know are all good, but it's so hard to leave them. It really is. I don't know. Sorry, I've got like blunt all over my lips. These. Tyler, it's freaking good to see you in there. Yes. Mr. Van Horn, he knows what's up. Is I feel like this is such a prime example of a connoisseur grower and smoker. Is like, I feel like, yeah, Tyler knows what's up. Well, you guys all do, actually. I feel like really excited to see that the chat is still hanging in there. Well, guys, I feel like I've still got a little bit of blunt left. I'm sure I can come up with something. I feel like we've covered so much, though. I don't know. I'm trying to break up having like some of the new sponsors come on, and like I want to change and set up some things on the show before you guys actually get to meet them. But I want to make sure that the coupons, that everything's in place, because I think if we start doing this introductory system, is it would be super cool if like we could all follow along with each other, and like post pictures and share it as this group, like anybody that's down to try this IPM and this system. And yeah, I think it would be awesome. Is salts especially is like, even if you have the slightest curiosity for the first time ever to just give it a go, is maybe this would be the perfect time. I don't know. I'm also going to start doing compost teas though, and like going back to the organic life on certain things as well. Don't worry, guys. We're going to cover every basis. But I really would like to have Jeremy on the show as well. I know everybody loves Build a Soil out there. And yeah, I think he was coming out with a product cinnamon based. I think the last time I talked to him on the Adam Dunn show is he was doing something, but I used cinnamon last week. That's why I thought of this. And I feel like, so I'm treating these thrips and fungus gnats in one of these facilities, and they're just so, they're like finely set back, but it's the most irritating thing ever. It's like almost like a trick or a lie. Like you can't see the leaf damage anymore. You can't see like anything like that. But I put the cinnamon on the tops of my plants, like really pretty light. Like it's not gonna really hurt them if you get like a little too crazy. But yeah, and like it's crazy to already see the new growth and just how much I don't know. It's like the plant's got this like full pick me up, and it's weird because cinnamon's really good for like microbial, like killing spores and stuff like that as well. So I don't know if you guys, anybody's battling like even PM and like mites, anything like that. It's weird, but aphids, like I've never seen something change plants so quickly. When I was talking to Jeremy about it, I was asking if they had anything cinnamon like that, like just like raw powdered cinnamon, and he said that they would be coming out with something this year. So I'm looking for it. I'm excited. But have you guys ever tried that? Or do you guys have any like weird remedies for those specific pests right now? Does anybody have spider mites or aphids? Aphids have been terrible this year in Colorado. Like we had so much rain this year. It was like super abnormal for, yeah, we just got a shit ton of rain. But the aphids were just like bumping because of all the weeds and the grass growth and everything was so lush. But like there was aphids on every plant outside. I swear that you would walk by. It's like terrifying. I was wearing like, the Tyvek painter suits in like the rooms, like switching out constantly, and like obviously with my hair it gets a little wild. You guys tell me what your IPMs or like your protocol. What do you guys do in the summertime? I feel like fall's my favorite time to grow weed, but summertime. Can you try beneficial insects? Yeah, see, Boom Boom is Kim. That's my aunt. She is like such a green thumb, and she's so good in the garden. And it's funny because most of my growing, like my mom and my aunt, both super green thumbs and super organic, like super organic. But I think they're always sending me like cool solutions to stuff, all kinds of stuff. Russet mites, I think Kim sent me the last time, and like the 3-in-1 spray. I know that she recommended to me. But I think, the beneficial insects is so, it's weird to me is I've seen beneficial and used beneficial insects in the past, and it's a weird thing. Like I think the parasitic wasp, like I think that Verde years ago was using that in one of their rooms and was really successful with it and like absolutely loved it. Rove beetles is another one that I've used at a commercial facility, and like really good for fungus gnats and aphids and stuff like that. Same with nematodes. Like nematodes will definitely take out aphids like crazy. But the thing about beneficial insects that I think is tricky on a commercial scale is so the beneficial insects will end up spreading things or penetrating the plant's tissue, or just transferring some of these other things like a disease. A nematode, for instance, like because it's a parasite, is it takes a parasite and a pathogen to create a disease. So if you don't introduce nematodes into a garden, like, it's weird because you can gamble by taking out your aphids, but then you stand a chance of having your plant get HLVD or fusarium or some of these other diseases that, when you're weighing out the risk of their flowering out, um, it's just kind of a gamble. Is which one's more important to you? Which one is more probable? Like, are the levels of these diseases, or like these things that you're seeing symptoms of in your room, like, bad enough that you think this is your only solution? I think especially late in flower, it's definitely a tool that I think is definitely could be worth it late in flower. Is I think nematodes, especially as if you had a really bad aphid infestation and you really felt like you couldn't use any products, is I would definitely get some nematodes. But that's because my plant would already be finishing. It would already be kind of in a compromised situation, and I don't know. And then at that point, they're so expensive, man. Like, these commercial grows, are spending like sometimes up to $5,000 a week on these beneficial insects that are spreading like fusarium around their facility left and right. But I think in a small space or like a tent or something, I definitely think it would be something that if I had to do it, I would do it. But I wouldn't introduce it though to a garden with my veg plants, which sounds weird, but yeah, I feel like, uh, let's see. Oh, hillbilly. I've just been doing an aloe EM1 silica and sometimes add kelp foliar for the summer. That's really nice. Yeah, the cinnamon John Gale, that works for the fungus gnats really good. And like I said, you can just get it from like King Supers or Walmart or something like that. It's just like regular powdered cinnamon. And the thing is like, if you try to do it dry, I think at first, just to like get your nice little top coat going, is like those bottles almost have it where you can like give it a little extra and it's not like the powder will come out thick, but you can do like the base underside of those first leaves, and yeah, the rest of your topsoil. And by that, I'll let them dry out, like I said at first when I place it on there, and then I water it in. And you can use just your regular nutrients water or pH, just regular water, but I'll just keep it there. Like, it almost takes, like, I would say, right now, like, I'm only on day 3 or 4 since I've done it, and these plants are like already, you can still see the cinnamon and you can still smell it a little bit, but it's pretty much already dissolved all the way into the medium. But yeah, if fungus gnats especially, even the larva, because I know fungus gnats, that's why they're so frustrating. Is like, I swear every fungus gnat I deal with is like resilient as, it's like the Hulk of all things. It's like you can Pyganic drench them, you can Azimax spray, you can do all these things, and they're just like stronger and stronger every day. But the cinnamon is what I found wrecks them faster than most things. And you can stay like doing that. I wouldn't get like too crazy where I wouldn't want like it building up in my pot necessarily, like burning your roots potentially. If you got too much, I'm saying this is like overboard over time on kind of your side shoots of the pot. Um, but yeah, give it a try. I'm telling you, it's worth it. The Alica and Silica for foliar sounds really nice too. See, I don't have an indoor garden. I just threw flower seeds in the dirt and see what happens. Yeah, see, for the situation like that, the thing is if you got them for the right price, is like, they are awesome and they're awesome to watch. Is like, I think they're super effective for something like that. Like, if they're outside, the thing is everything's balanced out there. It's like they have predators, and like it really does work. They will get away, or like they're not going to stay there. But I think that they'll still help. I think that they'll still snack, as obviously if you have a pest or something going on, like, they love it, and so they'll linger for the time being. But I also think when you're getting like these counts of stuff, it's so many that like, when you buy ladybugs or something, it's like 1,000 minimum or something like that, 10,000 I think. Is Yeah, there's just so many that it's like even if you got a couple hundred to stay outside, like it's still fun. It's still worth it. I remember the first time I tried to use ladybugs indoors and I remember like this is when I was like super anti pesticides and this is it was late into flower. I want to say I was probably at week 5, but these plants were huge and it was indoor and I was just so devastated, like so devastated. I'm trying to remember the pest that was in there. I imagine aphids if it was, yeah, I'm not sure. This was over like 10 years ago, but it was funny as I released them in there and like felt like on cloud 9. I felt like I was like freaking like Mary Poppins or something like that. And then I come in like over the next like week and I see all these dead ladybugs like all over like the bud. Like where it was just already sick. That's why I say it's got to be late. Like I want to say 5-6 weeks. I don't know. Wasn't quite finishing, but it was just like the trichomes and everything like had stuck the ladybugs and I know what'll happen with fungus gnats and aphids too. And it's just crazy how drenched I mean that they'll get. Like the second that you have resin on a plant, like they're just adhere to it. So it kind of sucks because I don't like using them because of that, because they're gonna die in your room, and now you're gonna have thousands of ladybugs dead everywhere and then all over the bud, and nobody wants to smoke ladybug legs. So it's just like, but if you're outside, I think get your ladybug on, you know? I just wish that I had these dreams. I'm gonna achieve it one day, but I always wanted those orchid mantis. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these, but like, or the ghost mantis. Is I really wanted to get into breeding them, or just having them, honestly. But it was my dream to have a small flower room where I just never used pesticides, and I couldn't because these little guys would get taken out. But where I'd like to do bee pollinations and breeding, and like I have some theories with the honey and blah blah blah. So I was thinking if you put the orchids in this space, or the orchid mantis, I'm sorry, is they're so good at eating all these things. Like again, like a beneficial insect, and they're beautiful. They're just like stunning. But they would die in like 6 to 8 weeks. And so they're like 70 to $100 a pop. So, you know, but if I'm breeding them, I feel like maybe it would just be worth it. You could do like a little pond, do all these things. Have to run H2O2 in my pond, then it'd have to be safe for the mantis. But I don't know. There's so many things in a garden that sometimes it's just fun to do. Even like if this goes against everybody's things, like even some things like the nematodes. Like if I know that it gives the plant or this susceptible chance of getting a disease, is like sometimes you just want to do these things though, that you're just like, you know what, F it, I'm doing it, I'm going all in. Yeah, you just gotta do it. Orchid praying mantis, you're right, I'm sorry. It's such a key point. You guys gotta look them up though, and same with the ghost mantis. I'm telling you, like, if they could have babies, they're so cool. Yeah, nematodes are really good for gnats. That's the thing. Is like it's just kind of it's hard to say. It's like I've seen nematodes really be successful, even indoors for people. But I think that it's only when you're seeing like the dudding coming from nematodes, specifically. When you see a lot of plants dudding, like some of the symptoms that they're talking about with HLVD, is that's where the nematodes themselves are actually living. And you can't see them, right? They're like inside the plant cell wall, but little tiny worms. And they reproduce really slowly. So they create like more of these notches on your plant. That's why you'll get like branches that break really easily. And seriously, all the symptoms that I'd say that, not all the symptoms, but a lot of symptoms that people talk about with these other diseases, but it stems from the nematode itself starting all of those things. Like without the nematode there, building that little family or that little colony, then none of those diseases would even be able to happen. So it's kind of, but then I see them like take out things like you say, the fungus gnats, and like I've seen that with, they really do work. So I don't know, like I said, if you were gonna already harvest, right? Like if you were at week 5 to beyond, or I guess earlier than that, but if you knew that you were gonna harvest and you knew that your plants were like struggling combating these fungus gnats or whatever it was. Like, I would definitely probably introduce him if I thought it would actually increase the quality, if I was already in a spot like that. But then I would go through and like not reintroduce them on like my next crops though. You know what I mean? Like, I would try to combat it with these other approaches, I think, before relying on it, um, with my younger plants. Let's see. Shallow trays of honey for them. That's such a brilliant idea. Gosh. These are so funny. You guys are so awesome. Not a huge grow, but yeah. Baking my mix. Hopefully I'll get them with biology. I should just treat my whole soiled tote instead of pot by pot. That is really cool though. See, I think flowers work so far for the Japanese beetles. That's the thing. Yeah, you guys are like spot on those. It's like outside again is like I would get crazy with it, but I feel like yeah, they really are a beautiful thing. There is different types of nematodes. You're absolutely right. It's not in your roots though. So this is what's really weird though is if you look up, I'd say the best resources for this is there's a plant pathology book that's like second edition or something like that. And I think that you would like everybody. It's not sorry. Is I feel like you would absolutely love it though. To talk about this specifically, nematodes specifically, is like it's just a weird I think it's just a weird area that like I will talk about more sometime. It's just when I have better like context, better pictures or better something to like show you more of what I'm saying because I think in this book it breaks it down really well though. It's like it cuz it's not cannabis specific, which I I think it just makes it helpful to see I guess the science that they of this nematode. Um but you are absolutely right though. There are different types. Gotta keep it shallow. Do raisins in the honey from now on. Gosh, that's so awesome. I love it. Yeah, take care of your little ladybugs. Ladybugs, they just make you feel like good. You walk into a space with some ladybugs and you're like, yeah, I feel right at home. I always wanted to put like, have you guys ever seen those pendants that are like those stars, like those glass stars that are like notched, like cut, tiny? People hang them in their rearview mirrors or did in the 90s. Well, I want those, and I always wanted them under 1,000 watt like Gavitas, but now that Gavitas are totally 20 years ago, basically, it's like I feel like I'll never be able to do it. But the LEDs would be even more incredible, actually. But I just want to deck out my room with these stars and just have my plants like have a disco party. But I have a fear that it's gonna like refract and like burn my trichomes or something somehow. Is really what's gonna probably happen. Oh, you guys tell me. Ooh, you guys should slide into the treat show comments and tell me what would be your favorite like dream grow situation. Like sometimes I'm like I want a pond inside. Like I know it's not practical. And I know I'd have to do all these other things because of all the other things that would come from having my pond, but what would your guys' like dream wish list be? The bugs seem to be scared of my Cambodian plants on day 90 of 120 days of flower. See, that is incredible. Stacy, thank you. I feel like yeah, that's what's weird to me too, is even in the garden still, is I'll like see these crazy infestations of all kinds of different insects. And they'll still only target like one plant in the room, like where they're really like, this is my favorite. It's weird. I know everybody's like already probably thinking like that's the plant that brought it in, but no, you guys would be surprised. Like, gosh, spider mites, it's like crazy. Sometimes they love the OGs, like love them, and like all think that they're gonna be all over all these sweet things or like tangies or like lemon something or something like that. No, just all the OGs. I just feel like certain insects have a certain preference. Anyways, guys, I think I'm going to call it a night just because I feel like I'm kind of excited to have this for next week. Is while it's fresh on my mind, I kind of just want to tiger pounce it. Also, is if anybody reached out on the Treat website, thank you so freaking much for clones and for consulting, and that's for the home grows and the commercial grows. Thank you again. Is just let me catch up just for a minute. It's not even crazy, but I'm gonna be sending out everything tomorrow, and then my emails and everything I will get back to as well. So just don't feel neglected. I promise you will hear from me, and we will have a beautiful week together. Peace and love, and thank you guys for chilling with me tonight.
No.